Hello, friends, and welcome to Jewels of Truth. My name is Daniel Fontenot, and today we will continue reading a chapter from this book, this very good book, Facts of Faith. It is power-packed. Facts of Faith by Edward Christensen. You can still obtain it. It is still in print. It is a must-have. And so we will continue chapter. And by the I didn't give the page numbers in the last presentation, but anyway, so this part of the chapter I have entitled Rome's Efforts to Destroy the Bible. Okay, we discussed this in the previous presentation, and it's a fact of history. The Roman Catholic Church hierarchy has in the past destroyed Bibles, burned Bibles, and burned people who read Bibles and studied Bibles and preached the Bible. So Brother Edward Christensen, the author of this book, Facts of Faith, he continues, Rome was awake to the inevitable result of allowing the common people to read the Bible. And the vicar of Croydon declared in a speech at St. Paul's Cross, London, quote, "We must destroy the printing press or it will destroy us." This is what this vicar of Croydon, declared in a speech at St. Paul's Cross in London. We must destroy the printing press or it will destroy us. The papal machinery was therefore set in motion for the destruction of the Bible. There now began a remarkable contest between the Romish Church and the Bible, between the printers and the popes. There now began a remarkable contest between the Romish Church and the Bible, between the printers and the popes. To the Bible, the popes at once declared a deathless hostility. To read the Scriptures was in their eyes the grossest of crimes. The best book you can possibly read, the Bible, which tells us of the gospel, which prophesies of Christ. We have people talk about the Christmas story, okay? Don't agree with Christmas, but nevertheless, so what's the point of celebrating the birth of Christ if you believe that reading the Bible is the grossest of crimes? The Inquisition was invested with new terrors and was forced upon France and Holland by papal armies. The Jesuits were everywhere distinguished by their hatred of the Bible. The Jesuits were everywhere distinguished by their hatred for the Bible. In the Netherlands, they led the persecutions of Alva and Philip II. They rejoiced with a dreadful joy when Antwerp, Bruges, and Ghent, the fairest cities of the working men, were reduced to pauperism and ruin by the Spanish arms, for the Bible had perished with its defenders. To burn Bibles was the favorite employment of zealous Catholics. Wherever they were found, their heretical volumes were destroyed by active inquisitors, and thousands of Bibles and Testaments perished in every part of France. In Spain, not only were the common people forbidden to read the Bible, but also university professors were forbidden by the Supreme Council of the Inquisition to possess their valuable Bible manuscripts. The council, in consequence, decreed that those theologians in the university who had studied the original language should be obliged, as well as other persons, to give up their Hebrew and Greek Bibles to the commissaries of the Holy Office on pain of excommunication. This is just insane. And this is a book entitled The History of the Inquisition of Spain. In 1490, and forgive me for not being able to pronounce these names clearly, in 1490, Torquemada, the Inquisitor General, caused many Hebrew Bibles and more than 6,000 volumes to be burnt in an auto de fe at Salamanca. And that's from the literary policy of the Church of Rome. How many thousands of invaluable manuscripts thus perished in the flames of the Inquisition, eternity alone will reveal. And I like Brother Christian's statement here. It is very important that we know this, that we understand this. It is exceedingly difficult for Protestants in our day to fathom the extent of this fear of and enmity against the Bible manifested by the Roman Church. With her, it was actually a life or death struggle. Let that sink into our minds. With Rome, this issue of the Bible and whether the people would have the Bible in their own language or not, it was a life and death struggle, because Rome knew that if the people read and studied the Bible, guess what? Their power would be over. It was done. A person must read the history of the Inquisition and examine the Roman indexes of forbidden books to understand her viewpoint. Inquisitor General Perez del Prado gave expression to her feelings and her bitter lament when he declared in horror, quote, that some individuals had carried their audacity to the execrable extremity of demanding permission to read the Holy Scriptures in the vulgar tongue without fearing to encounter mortal poison therein. So if the people, demanded permission to read the Holy Scriptures in their native tongue, their vulgar tongue, that to the church, that was terrible audacity and execrable extremity. Wow. And that is quoted from the book, The History of the Inquisition of Spain. The funeral piles were lit all over Europe. Samuel Smiles says of France, Bibles and New Testaments were seized wherever found and burnt. But more Bibles and Testaments seemed to rise, as if by magic, from their ashes. The printers who were convicted of printing Bibles were next seized and burnt. The bourgeoisie, I'm not sure if that's the correct pronunciation, de Paris, a Roman Catholic paper, gives a detailed account of the human sacrifices offered up in ignorance and intolerance in that city during the 6 months ending June 1534, from which it appears that 20 men and 1 woman were burnt alive. In the beginning of the following year, the Sorbonne obtained from the king an ordinance which was promulgated on the 26th of February 1535 for the suppression of printing. And that is in the book, The Huguenots by Samuel Smiles, first footnote. Further attempts continued to be made by Rome to check the progress of printing. In 1599, Pope Paul, or actually 1559, Pope Paul IV issued the first index of Expurgatorius, containing a list of the books expressly prohibited by the Church. It included all Bibles printed in modern languages, of which 48 editions were enumerated, while 61 printers were put under a general ban. Paul IV in 1559 put it, in Sully's name, in the first papal index Expurgatorium The History of the Inquisition of the Middle Ages. Henry Charles wrote that. The first Roman Index of Prohibited Books, published in 1559 under Paul IV, was very severe and was therefore mitigated under that pontiff by decree of the Holy Office of June 14th of the same year, according to the Catholic Encyclopedia. Persecution raged more or less all over Europe. In 1549, the massacre of the Vaudois of Provence was perpetuated. The 24th of August, 1572, the St. Bartholomew Massacre commenced and continued until between 70,000 and 100,000 innocent and unsuspecting persons were murdered in cold blood for being Protestants. The massacre was secretly planned by the leaders of the Roman Church. Sully says 70,000 were slain, though other writers estimate the victims at 100,000. Catherine de Medicis wrote in triumph to Alva, to Philip, and to the Pope, Rome was thrown into a delirium of joy at the news. Yeah, the joy of the news of murdering tens of thousands of people. The cannon, on what? For being Protestants? The cannon were fired at St. Angelo. Gregory the 13th and his cardinals went into procession from sanctuary to sanctuary to give God thanks for the massacre. The subject was ordered to be painted, and a medal was struck with the Pope's image on one side and the destroying angel on the other, emulating the Huguenots. Finally, however, the Papal Church discovered that her opposition to the Bible only betrayed the sad fact that instead of being the divinely instituted Church of the Bible, she and the Scriptures were deadly enemies, and that her open fight was furnishing the world with the clearest evidences to justify the Reformation. You would think that people would have the common sense to realize if we do this, then thus and such is going to be the result. We're going to be exposed for what we really are. Her relentless persecution was making martyrs, but not loyal Catholics. Yes, her relentless persecution was making martyrs, but not loyal Catholics. You would think people would reason from cause to effect. But they were so deceived and led on by Satan that they could not see that. She must halt her course, the Roman Catholic Church, that is. She must halt her course and forge new weapons against Protestantism if she ever hoped to win the battle. But what were those weapons to be? Well, we shall consider that in the next two chapters. And this was taken from Facts of Faith, pages 14 to 17. So, again, we hope that this presentation has been a blessing and edifying and informative. And if you agree with this presentation, then by all means tap that like button at the bottom of this video, and it will be sent far and wide to those who are hungering for the bread of life. And if you have any comments or questions, then by all means you can post them at the bottom of this video. And if you haven't subscribed, we would highly encourage you to subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. Thank you for joining us here at Jewelers of Truth. Have a good day in the Lord.